Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Heaven, a necromantic dating sim. Let's go ahead and continue. And I did kind of edit things. I did start a new save and I chose the one that is for Elise. Well, things might be a little different. When you lift up the lantern, you can see the faint outline of buildings looming around you, along with empty windows and piles of refuse. Lazula. The city was a ruin decades before the plague hit, but 2 centuries ago it was a jewel of the underground. One by one, however, the lights went out as people migrated to the surface, leaving only a lonely few down here. You'd heard stories about the last people who stayed down here, how they slowly went mad from the loneliness in the dark. Some couldn't tell the difference between the darkness of the caves and the darkness behind their eyelids. You slide the box of matches back into your satchel, and your hand brushes against the smooth, battered box inside. You found it a few months ago while looting some of the empty houses in the upper cantons of the city. It's a portable seeker board, the kind that folds in half, compartments for the pieces and cards. It rattles slightly when you walk, but even though you never expected to play with anyone, you kept it. I should just get rid of it. But you know you won't. It brings back too many memories. You walk up the street, guiding yourself by memory to the western quarter of the city. After spending 5 years down here, you can't understand how a silence in the darkness can serve as a medium for thought. You've had plenty of time to practice reconstructing your memories, whether it's the shapes of people's faces or the pitches of their voices. Find one of the old railings that runs along the street and use it to guide yourself down the path that leads to the grand staircase. You descend the grand staircase 5 years ago when you were running from the plague above. You never expected to climb to the surface again. As you walk, you dim your lantern and close your eyes, letting the railing under your hand guide you. Memories are the only things left down here. You reach back in your mind and sort through the chronology of your time at Izagi. You grimace as you think about your second week there. After your first week, you began to realize how differently the academy handled its courses of study. First was the instructors. Instead of different teachers for different subjects, each class of students learned all of their subjects from the same teacher. Second, instead of having entry-level courses with only first-year students, students of all different years attend your classes. Instructors would deliver lectures that were half directed at junior students and half at senior ones, mixing the lessons into a messy collage. Some students were already advanced in one area of study, but were learning the basics of another in your class. It was all a part of Izagi's rhizomatic style of teaching, where every student learned about all the dimensions of physiognomy holistically. In theory, everything was supposed to weave together into a beautiful tapestry of knowledge. In practice, it was a nightmare. In your mind, a familiar scene unfurls. You come to Rue's office early in the morning at the end of the second week, carrying notepads full of your confused scrawlings in the hope that she could sort it all out. You knock slightly on her office door. The door opens and Rue's surprised face appears on the other side.
Oh, hello, Uzo. Why brings you here?
I was looking for some help with my coursework. I feel like it's getting a bit over my head.
Sure. Come in. we can talk more about that.
You walk into her office and find her desk stacked with papers and books. A lone chair faces it, apparently reserved for students. Along with the familiar bookcases, and the chalkboard mounted on the wall is a bulging sack made of colorful fabric in the corner. It's large enough to be used as a chair. Rue pushes aside some stacks of paper and rolls up a few scrolls to clear space on her desk. And sits down and folds her hands in front of her, looking at you expectantly. You ease yourself into the chair on the other side of her desk. Your memory of your earlier, awkward conversation with Rue returns to you. She seems like a nice person, but you're not sure if she'll be able to help. So, I'm learning about the soul-body matrix, and I can't figure out what the meeting place between body and soul is and how it works. Rue's eyes light up.
Oh, well, I can help with that. Think of it like this. When a baby is born, it's still attached to the mother with an umbilical cord. That cord has many special properties that you don't find in either the mother or the child. The metaphysical tissue that connects the soul and body is similar. Its composition, its nature is separate from the person's body and soul.
So what's it made of then?
Well, that's what's interesting. The geometric patterns left in res by the connected tissue are quite singular. They...
Wait. What's in res mean?
Ah, right, you haven't. It, means imprinted, or in residua, which is like residue left behind by magic.
Okay, so the geometric patterns left behind by the umbilical thing between body and soul.
It's not really an umbilical cord, not a single physical one at least. There's actually 5 points in the body that anchor the body to the soul. So there's actually 5 umbilical-like structures, technically. Maybe it would be helpful if I drew it out.
She gets up from her desk and heads to the chalkboard. She starts sketching the outline of a human body, starting with the head. As you watch, she draws and then erases her sketches, trying to get the lines just right. Her eyes dart to you when she turns her head to sketch some long, straight lines. You realize that her whole body is stiff and shaking slightly.
Okay, so there's 5 points on the body or the transmaterial tissue.
Wait a second. What about the geometric patterns you mentioned? I want to talk about that first.
Oh, that's to advance her first year.
You grumble internally. Then why did you bring it up? You sit through a rambling 10-minute lecture from Rue that covers much of the same material that Master Izagi explained. You want to interrupt her to get your questions, but Rue's nervous energy and breakneck speaking pace makes you afraid that she'll fly apart if you derail her. It's frustrating because she keeps touching on concepts that are far, far beyond what you can understand, and breezing past them as if you should already be familiar. As Rue ums and uhs her way through the concepts, you feel a panic rise in your gut. She's not going to be of any help. You realize that you're probably going to get farther and farther behind in your classes as more and more materials get thrown at you. It's only a matter of time before your first exam, and then you'll fill out of the written study courses. You can see it all collapsing in front of you. Your academic career, your life, your chance at immortality. As Rue's voice trails off, you realize that she's winding her way to conclusion.
And that's body-soul matrices. Basically, does that all make sense?
Her eyes search your face for some sign of comprehension, and you notice her fidgeting with the nub of chalk in her hands. You heave a long, solemn sigh and shake your head. Sorry, I'm still not getting it. You went over everything the instructor did, but I'm still confused. Rue opens her mouth, then lets out a shuddering breath. Her shoulders drop.
Okay. I can, work through this with you again, if you want.
I don't think it's gonna help. The way you teach is just like the other instructors. It's like a big tangle of advanced stuff and basic stuff.
Well, the style of mindset, it's supposed to show how knowledge is connected in the web, rather than built like a pyramid with basic concepts.
Her words dry up as she seemingly loses the conviction to argue with you. I feel like every time I learn about any single idea, I have to go down a rabbit hole to understand it. And that just leads to another idea, and so on. It's frustrating. And that's how this place works, and I can't learn this way, then. It's her turn to trail off. You stare at the notes on your lap and exhaustion floods your body. You just stands there helplessly, still fidgeting with the chalk. You shrug and pick up your notes. I think I'm gonna study in my room. I took a lot of notes, so I'm going to try to sort through them again. Thanks though. As you move to the door, Rue turns around and looks forlornly at her chalkboard, which is now covered in a mess of various diagrams. You step over the threshold of the office, back into the hallway. You can feel your future looming ahead and this moment's fading away. As you reach back to pull the door shut, however, you pause. You step back into Rue's office with a frown. When they cut the umbilical cord from a baby, what do they do with it?
Huh? Oh, I believe they keep it in a jar or burn it, I think.
So, what happens to the body's soul umbilical cord when someone's soul leaves their body?
It disappears.
But the stuff it's made out of, where does that stuff go?
It doesn't go anywhere. It vanishes from existence. All that's left behind is its shape, imprinted in the body and soul.
You walk back into the office and step closer to her chalkboard. The magical pattern on the body's soul umbilical cords is sketched in the top corner. A circle with 3 circles nested in it, and even more circles within those circles.
Once it's severed, it shatters the soul. At least the part of the soul we recognize as ourself. That's why ghosts act so strangely. The sense of self has been shattered. It's one of the great mysteries of metaphysics, actually. How do those intangible threads that hold together our souls just vanish?
You don't know?
Some scholars have theories. They think the magical bond between body and soul remains intact, but invisible to us. I subscribe to a more radical view.
What's that? He turns to you and opens her mouth to speak, but immediately wilts.
It's very complicated.
Oh. She stands there awkwardly, but you can see her mind churning.
Wait just a second.
She goes to her desk and takes out a bin of wooden blocks. There are cubes, pyramids, and even dodecahedrons. You follow her and sit down in the chair again, watching her pick out the ones she wants.
I use these as aids for drawing out diagrams on the chalkboard sometimes.
Rue begins assembling cubes on the 4 crude walls, and puts a big square bottom pyramid block on top of them. She looks at you warily.
Let's say that this is a house. It has 4 walls and a roof. It's there and you can touch it, smell it, taste it.
She passes aside the little cube house, demonstrating how real it is. You nod, unsure where she's going with this.
Now, if I take away the blocks and put them in the bin, then shuffle them around.
She slides the cube house into the bin and shakes the box, bumping a stack of books off her desk in the process.
Oh, oops. Don't worry about it. So, look in the bin. Where's the house? Do you see it in there?
You look into the bin, but all you see is a jumble of blocks. Well, no, the shape of a house isn't something that it disappears when all the pieces are broken apart. It's just an idea, or a concept. Rue nods and sets down the bin.
So what I'm saying is that the umbilical cord between body and soul disappears in a similar way.
The thought strikes you, and for a moment you feel like it's all coming together. Then another thought swiftly dispels the first one. You said the umbilical cord makes us mark, though. How can it make an imprint on the body and soul if it's just an idea?
Well, the idea of a house is etched into your mind, isn't it? You had to learn as a child, and that's kind of a mark too, isn't it? It may be the same with our conception of ourselves. When the soul looks out through the body's eyes and into a mirror, it sees the flesh, not the soul. We see our faces, our arms, our legs, our torsos, our sexual organs. They shape our view of ourselves. Just so happens that those same body parts have been identified as the 5 anchors that tether our bodies to our souls.
You nod slowly, then take out your notebook and start writing down notes.
And when we die, we see our bodies from the outside and realize that our faces and our bodies are just a lot of meat. We don't recognize ourselves. It's a traumatic experience to see all that dead flesh and bone isn't really you. I think it creates a kind of psychotic break.
So it's really keeping our souls bound to our bodies.
That's a question about soul transmigration. And that means delving into the nature of the soul.
Rue gets up and starts erasing the chalk markings on the board. She starts drawing new figures, but continues speaking while she does. While she walks you through more and more abstract concepts of the body and soul, you start seeing the hazy outline of how one subject connects to another. You stop her a few times to ask questions from your courses, and she slowly, arduously breaks each of the problems down to the basics. You can tell it takes Rue a lot of effort to explain things in a way that you can understand, but she seems intent on answering every single question you have. It takes a long time, but you're so relieved to be making some progress through your confusion that you don't care. After a while, she runs out of space on the chalkboard and starts drawing the floor with a new piece of chalk. She beckons for you to crouch next to her as she answers a particularly complicated question about contagious magic.
So you see how this invisible tether connects back to the original subject, the soul.
She squirms a bit as she tries to lean forward. You watch her stand up, unbutton her jacket, and hang it on a hook on the wall. She stretches her back slightly, then crouches back down next to you and lets out a sigh.
That's better. Sorry, so the soul retains an invisible connection.
When the two of you finally sit back and stretch your legs, the floor is covered in diagrams and annotations. Your eyes can barely stay open, and Rue seems punch-drunk from the sheer amounts of thinking, writing, and talking she's been doing. She looks up at the grandfather clock in the corner of the office and yawns.
Oh no, it's 4 in the morning.
You do a lazy double take at the clock, then groan.
Oh god, I have class in a few hours.
Rue waves a hand nonchalantly, as if to say don't worry.
I can write you a note excusing you. It's fine.
But I don't want to miss the whole goddamn day of lectures. I just got my head above water with... You stop as you realize that you just cursed in front of your mentor. You look over at Rue, who is now sitting against the wall. She smiles a little at your embarrassment, but quickly hides it behind her hand.
I admire your studiousness. Either way, it's your choice.
You can already see Rue slowly drifting out to sleep. You groggily gather your notes, new and old, then shuffle them into a pile. Alright, I'm gonna get going. Rue raises a hand in farewell before it flops into her lap.
Okay. Good night. Good work.
The next morning, you had to wake up at 8 o'clock to get to martial arts training. It was absolute hell. It's cold and windy when you left your dormitory, which made your headache and dehydration even harder to ignore. You're thankful to finally stumble into the dojo, which is warmed by a large wood stove in the corner. Instead of stretching, you spend the minutes before class leaning against the wall near the stove, trying to store up enough strength to continue on. When class begins, you realize in horror that today is going to be solely focused on physical conditioning. You and the other junior students are instructed to take wide stances, stretching your legs as if you're riding horses. The squad of senior students begins walking down the line, setting bricks atop each junior's thighs. Out of the corner of your eye, you see the senior students pressing down on students' shoulders, making sure that their thighs are horizontal to the floor. Your legs have already begun to ache, and you groan internally at the thought of holding this position more than a few minutes. When one of the senior students kneels down to balance bricks on your legs, you realize that it's Izagi. She presses down on your shoulders, forcing you deeper into the stance. Instead of walking away, she stands in front of you. Glance to your left and see that each junior student is being watched by a senior student.
15 minutes, starting now. If your bricks fall, your time starts over.
You feel the words crush your soul into a small, dry lump. 15 minutes? I can barely imagine lasting 5. Izagi stares at you with her hands behind her back as the strain on your legs builds. It's almost as if your gaze has a weight on its own. You glance down the line to see the solemn, determined faces of your classmates. Each one is staring into the stomachs of their seniors. You grit your teeth and tighten your body. Maybe if you can tense your body hard enough, you can hold on.
Relax. You'll hurt your muscles.
Izagi's words are sharp and matter of fact. You sigh and loosen your body, but one of the bricks begins to teeter. You shift your foot to try to get the brick balanced again, but slides off and clatters to the floor. Izagi immediately leans down and sets the brick back on your leg, then she goes back to her things like staring. You last for about 3 more minutes before you stand up and send the bricks clattering to the floor again. You stretch your legs and try to massage the stiff muscles as Izagi picks up the bricks.
Again. Come on.
Listen, I was with my mentor until 4 in the morning last night. I didn't get enough rest for this. I can never vouch for me. She offered to write me a note, so... Izagi just stands there holding your brick in each hand.
In extreme conditions, your body finds hidden reserves of strength. You can make it if you're determined enough.
You sigh and look around. Everyone else is still holding the stance. None of them has dropped the brick. You squat down again and grimace. Izagi presses you lower, then sets the bricks on your thighs once more. You immediately feel the pain building your legs again, and you try to drown it out of your head. You let your mind wander and slip down into exhaustion. You feel the ache become more distant, but it's not completely gone. You're still conscious of Izagi's gaze on you, so you close your eyes. You start to feel your mind drifting towards sleep. You keep a tenuous grip on the thread of consciousness. You wonder how muscled your legs are going to be by the end of this. You wonder how muscled Izagi's legs are by now. You wonder if her entire body is covered in muscles. You wonder what the contours of her body look like beneath her uniform. You only realize you're falling backwards once you pass the point of no return. Your gut tightens and you screw your eyes shut even tighter as you wait for the impact. Your back collides with the hard wooden floor, followed by your head. The bricks tumble onto your chest and you groan. When you open your eyes, Izagi looms over you, cold and impassive.
Do you give up?
No, I can't keep doing this.
You can if you try.
She offers you her hand, and you grasp it. She pulls you easily to your feet and slaps the backs of your thighs. It feels like your legs are asleep. The moment she slaps them, lightning bolts of pain shoot through your muscles. You collapse to your knees. Izagi keeps her grip and holds you up. She gets you set on your feet again, then presses on your shoulders until you're back in the stance. You clench your eyes shut and try to breathe. When Izagi puts the brakes on your thighs, you feel your legs go numb again. You open your eyes to focus on anything but the feeling in her thighs. You notice the other junior sits standing up and shaking their legs. Their 15 minutes are up, you realize. Izagi doesn't look at them, but her fists curl up a bit tighter as she watches you. You can tell she's getting impatient. Her cold stare is getting annoying. You don't need her looking at you while you go through this excruciating pain. After about 2 minutes, you let a pain groan and snap suddenly. The bricks fly off your legs and almost hit Izagi's feet.
Hey, watch it!
I'm sorry, but I can't. You can see Master Zom coming toward you. Something wrong here, Initiate? I was up until 4 in the morning with my mentor. I can't handle doing this, not today. I can get a note. You should be coming to class each day ready to perform to your fullest. Balancing studies is your responsibility as a student. I know. But I just can't hold this position for this long today. I'll do something else if I can. Make it up. Izam seems to think for a moment, then kneels down and feels the muscles on your legs. His grip is rough but precise. When he stands up, he looks to Izagi. He appears to have strained his hamstrings. What would you recommend, Initiate Izagi? Her response is immediate, as if she's been holding onto it for a while.
Stretches. Then a short run.
Very well. Take Initiate Zumi on a 1-mile run around campus. Izan turns back to you. You bow to him and mumble thank you. When he walks away, you're left with Izagi glowering at you.
Let's go.
She leads you outside, where it's as cold as ever. Izagi starts to stretch in silence, and you follow suit. After a few minutes, you feel your legs become a bit less stiff and painful, but you know you'll still be slow on the run.
Alright, let's get this over with.
Izagi starts to jog down on the paths, cutting across the campus, and you follow behind her. Soon, you almost caught up with her, though she always seems 1 or 2 strides ahead. Could you slow down a bit? You get no response, and Izagi doesn't slow her pace. You jog in silence for a while, feeling your legs returning to normal. You pick up your pace, sucking more cold air into your lungs. Soon you're side by side with her, and you see her give you a sidelong glance. You try to speak between breaths. I get the feeling you're fed up with me. Izagi says nothing. He just keeps jogging. You strike me as a solitary type. Someone who doesn't like working with others. Izagi speaks easily, as if talking and running at the same time is second nature.
I work fine with people. I just don't like being held back.
It's kind of funny, because I also get the feeling not many people can keep up with you.
Not many people are like me. I've learned not to be disappointed.
I don't know, you seem pretty disappointed.
No, just annoyed. Are you going to talk the whole time?
No, I need to breathe. You run on in silence. You try to keep pace with Izagi, but she slowly pulls ahead of you. The path takes you both to the east side of campus, away from the looming buildings into the west vast park filled with barren trees. Suddenly she veers off the path and heads towards the river running alongside the trail. She jumps off the bank and hits the rocky shore, then dashes across a series of stepping stones in the water to a stony island in the center of the river. You hesitate at the bank, and Izagi turns around to face you. The mist hovering above the river shrouds her in a white fog. She cups her hands around her mouth and shouts to you.
Head back to the dojo. I'm going to do some of my own training.
Has it been a while already? She shakes her head. You drag your hand down your face, feeling exhaustion eating away at your resolve. Izagi's trying to lose you. She expects you to turn back and give up. It's apparent in everything about her. She thinks you're pathetic. You slide down the bank and walk up to the water. The river is only about 3 feet deep, but you can tell it's ice cold. The stepping stones look dark and slippery, but they're flat and well worn, as if they've been tread on many times. You shoot Izagi one brisk glance. She's still standing on the island watching you. You leap onto the first stone and feel your foot find purchase on the smooth space. You immediately swing your other leg forward. Your inertia carries you across 1, 2, then 3 more stones, until you're halfway across. As soon as you land on the fourth stone, however, your leg folds in on itself and you stumble sideways, crashing into the water. Hitting the freezing water makes you feel like you've hit solid bricks, and you immediately scramble to get your legs under you. In your single-minded desperation to get out of the freezing river, you push yourself downward so your feet touch the bottom. Then you jump up with all your might to reach the surface. Your head, shoulders, and chest break into the chilly air. You find yourself staring across the river, the icy water reaching out to your stomach. You trudge forward one heavy step at a time, until you're standing on the rocky shore in front of Izagi. You wipe the water from your eyes and gasp for more air, but you refuse to look away from Izagi's blurry face. You can hear her blow a short burst of air through her nose, as if she's amused.
You're going to get hyperthermia.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Your body's core temperature is going to be dropping low enough for your hypothermia.
You shrug and raise your arms helplessly. Your teeth are chattering uncontrollably. Sounds bad.
Do you know the best thing for fighting hypothermia?
You slowly shake your head.
Running.
You stand there and weigh your options. It feels like you've been punched in the gut 4 times since you woke up today. It doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon, so why not put your head down and just slog through it? Fine, let's go back to the dojo. By the time you and Izagi make it back to the campus, you're wearing your wet shirt tied around your stomach and your torso is bare to the cold. Your pants are tied around your waist, with the chunks of the fabric covering the front of your underwear. Some people stop and watching Izagi pass, Way too exhausted to care about being ridiculed. By the time you get back to the dojo, class has already ended and the room is empty, so you and Izagi head to the stove in the main room. The warmth of the dojo is heavenly. The stove heat is almost enough to bring you feeling back to your fingers.
How do you feel?
You fall to your knees in front of the stove, roll onto your back, and half-heartedly fumble with the wet knots of clothes around your waist. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. I want to die. Izagi walks over and helps you untie the shirt sleeves wrapped around your waist, but leaves your pants. She then straightens up and warms her hands at the stove.
At the beginning of the run, if I had asked you if you could make it back here after being thrown into the river, you would have said no.
Yeah, I probably would have said that.
But here we are anyway.
Yeah. You close your eyes and listen to Izagi's footsteps as she crosses the wooden floor of the dojo. You hear the entrance door open, then shut. You sigh in relief and let yourself drift off to sleep. Luckily, you have a few hours before your anatomy class. You sleep half naked on the floor of the dojo for most of that time. When you wake up, several other students are training alone, but no one seems to care about you or the wet clothes on the floor. You're thankful that no one threw you out, but you quickly realize how hungry you are and how dry your throat feels. You change into your scholar's uniform with your eyes half shut, button up with stiff hands, and head to the cafeteria to get some soup. On the way there, pass a large clock in the hall and realize with mild alarm how late it is. You can either get to your anatomy class on time without food, or get something to eat and drink and get there 30 minutes late. In your deeply exhausted, still sleep-deprived mind, you're already dead. You choose to be late. You open the door to the classroom and try to slip in discreetly, but several heads turn in your direction as soon as you shut the door. You look back at them through bleary, bitter eyes, and find a seat near the back. Looks like the lecture for today is already over, so people are working on group assignments. Soon, however, Master Izami's shadow looms over your desk. Tardy, Initiate Zinni. You barely raise your eyes to look at him and nod stoically. Yes, I am. Any particular excuse? Or should I consider it simple contempt for a course's material? Mild hypothermia. I fell in the river while on the run with Izagi. Izami seems amused by your answer and waits a while before speaking again. Then I think Initiate Izagi is punched you enough for today. Please be more responsible in the future. You may join that group over there. Izami hands you a slim green workbook and you take it wearily. You lug your books and notebook over to a group of 5 students gathered around at a rectangular table.
Hiya! Joining a lovely little group?
You realize that the unbearably chipper voice belongs to Liz, your former dissection partner. Yeah, I am.
We're going over the material and immaterial systems of the body. We already covered circulatory, muscular, and waste. We're going to the body's soul structure now.
Matrix.
Huh?
It's a matrix, not a structure. It's a collection of structures, both soul and body. That's a matrix. You're not sure why you feel the need to correct her. After a long talk with Rue, though, it just feels weird to use the wrong terms.
I guess you're right. Well, how about you walk us through that stuff then? You need to seem like you know what you're talking about.
You slowly pull the textbook out and toss the cover to the side, flipping through the pages until you get to the bookmark section. There's 5 subtle anchors for the soul within the material body. Recite the key points from your hours-long study session with Rue in monotone. At this point, most of the terminology and concepts are burned into your mind from so much repetition. As you talk, you notice your classmates feverishly taking notes and filling out a little green workbook. You close your eyes halfway through the recitation, and when you're done, you open them to find that everyone is staring at you. What?
I think we're all just wondering what happened to you. You look like you're barely alive.
You look around at the rest of the group and shrug. You don't have the energy to explain the whole story. Up until 4 in the morning, ran a mile after I woke up, walked through a freezing river, had to run back here in the cold.
Wait a second, you're the naked guy who was running across campus with Izagi Ito this morning?
I wasn't naked, I was still wearing underwear. Everyone else at the table burst into laughter. Look around groggily at them, not sure if they're laughing at you or in sheer incredulity. Can we just please get through whatever it is we have to do? The laughter dies down, but everyone at the table is still whispering to one another. You ignore them and look down at the textbook. What else do we have to cover?
Well, since you basically did all our work for us when it comes to the body soul matrix, why don't you tell us about the skeletal system?
I'm not gonna do all the work for you guys. The other girls at the table start giggling and whisper again. One of them slides her notebook toward you. She points to the 5th anchor for the soul, the one associated with the primary sex organ. Before she can formulate her question, she and her friend burst into laughter. You grimace and push the notebook back toward her. I'm going to work alone. You stand up and sit down at an empty table and start working through your slim workbook. Behind you, you can hear the people at Lisa's table talking about you. They don't say her name, but you know who the he's and hims are. It's time to turn in the workbooks. You've already finished yours in the haze. Some of it is on material you missed today. Baru's crash course on the interlinked nature of his body and soul seemed like it covered the major points. You're too exhausted to feel a sense of accomplishment at overcoming the assignment by yourself, so when class ends you just head to your dormitory. On the way, however, you realize it might be a good idea to get something hot to drink. You take a detour to the cafeteria. Man, what a pretty cafeteria. You join the line for orders and start counting out coins. That's when you hear someone walk up behind you, followed by a familiar voice.
Well, hello again, Uzo. Fancy seeing you here. Do you think this is fate?
You turn around and try your best to look as terrible as you feel. No, I think you followed me.
What? No, I'm not that desperate. What are you waiting in line for?
Something hot to drink.
Oh, me too. That gives me an idea. How about I buy you your drink, and you tell me the whole story about your half-naked run.
You know you don't have a lot of money, but is your dignity really worth a hot drink? Your weakened body says yes, and your half-functioning mind says maybe. Only if you get me some soup too.
Done.
A few minutes later, you find yourself sitting at a round table next to Lee's. You blow on your soup and suck some from a spoon, but it's still too hot.
Did you already study artificial vessels before you came here?
Huh? No. Why?
You knew a lot about the whole body-soul thing. Seemed like it was from the topic to you.
No, I just learned about it recently. My mentor, Rue, she, basically gave me the whole rundown last night.
The whole rundown? It's not a kind of thing you just pick up in one night.
Yeah, well, I took until 4 in the morning.
I see.
Lee pulls out a silver flask and takes a swig. You slurp your soup noisily, then greedily start tipping the bowl down your throat.
So, about this running thing.
It wasn't on purpose and I wasn't naked.
Let's start from the beginning.
You recount your long tutor session with Rue, excruciating time in martial arts class, and your run with Izagi to the river. You explain how she ran across the rocks, but leave out the part about challenging you to turn back. You finish up with you collapsing in front of the stove back at the dojo.
So you're trying to keep up with Ito, and basically messed up and had to run back here pantsless, in the cold.
Yeah, it's stupid, I know.
It's brilliant. I think it makes it for a great story.
If you say so.
Did you get any frostbite? Do you still have all your fingers and toes?
Lise grabs her left hand and inspects her fingertips. There's no trace of any black, frozen flesh. No frostbites, but I felt like I was going to die. It's funny though. As soon as I walked out of the river, I felt like I couldn't feel any worse than I did right then. I didn't think I'd be able to walk, let alone run. But I just closed my eyes, lowered my head, and kind of slogged through it. It was like I was in a trance, and I still feel awful. But I'm kind of proud that I could get back here alive.
What kept you going? Was it something? Or someone you were thinking about?
Hey, it's not like that. You stare at your soup bowl, which is now mostly empty. I knew I had to get back here, get miss classes, or fail out of the academy. I mean, my whole life to now has been pointless.
I'm guessing you take the whole school thing pretty seriously.
That's all I've got. If I fail here, then it's back to being a scribe or something in the warehouse. This is my chance to make something of myself. Once I'm immortal, I'll have forever to do what I want with my life.
You know that most people die before they become immortal, right? Even the students here. A lot of people don't get it right, get too old, or end up with cancer or something.
I'm not going to be one of them. Lise holds up her palm and smiles, as if to say, okay, okay. You look over at her and take a drink from her cup. What's your plan area of study? Physical augmentation?
What? So it can be like Izagi Ito? No, I'm studying artificial vessels. I think I told you that before.
Then why do you know so much about surgery and anatomy? Is the whole point of a vessel that you don't have to worry about organs and flesh and stuff?
Only people who understand the flesh have the knowledge to escape it. Besides, I want to make it that point. I don't want my liver to fail before I can ditch it.
Lee stands up from the table and brushes out the sleeves of her jacket.
Anyway, thanks for the story time. It was a blast. I'll see you in class.
Wait a second. Lee stops.
What?
Are you gonna spread that story about me running across campus?
Well, everyone's already talking about it. I was just getting the official story.
But you're gonna tell more people about me, aren't you? I can tell you'd like to talk. Lee sits back down and dips her head from side to side, as if she's deciding whether or not to agree with you.
If you're worried about me bad-mouthing you, you don't need to.
I'd just prefer if people didn't talk about me.
Like I said, that boy's sailed. They're already talking about you. I'm just gonna tell them the truth. Plus or minus some little details.
Like what?
Well, you ever heard the saying, it was so cold my nipples could get glass? I was thinking of adding that in. Just a little artistic license to spice it up.
You stare hard at Lise, whose brilliant smile never wavers. You drag your eyes away from her and sigh. Let's make another deal. You tell people the real story, no embellishments. In turn, you can buy me another bowl of soup.
We already made a deal for your story. I just bought you soup.
As for me telling you the real story, not the right to tell other people. It's like printing someone else's autobiography.
I'm not made of soup money.
I told you stuff no one else knows, apart from Izagi. Unless you want to talk about it, because she's not a gossip. People mention the same details I told you. I'll know who told them.
And then what? You gonna hunt me down?
I'll think of something. I can be creative. Lee sticks out her tongue and holds it between her teeth, then narrows her eyes.
Bullshit. You're not the sadistic type.
You wanna bet? You don't know what you do if Lee spread lies about you, but you're hoping that being vague isn't enough to keep her from going overboard. You stare at her with your dead-looking eyes, trying to convince her you're intimidating, not bone-tired.
Fine, I'll keep the artistic license to a minimum. But once it comes out of my mouth, I'm not responsible for what other people say.
She tosses you 6 small coins, which clink on a wooden table.
Enjoy your soup, Uzo.
When you emerge from the memory, you find yourself back in the pitch darkness of the underground. Terror cuts through your chest as you realize that your lantern has gone out, and you don't know where you are. You fumble in the dark with your matches, trying to light up your lamp again. Around you, there's only the cold dark and the dull roar of emptiness. And I think I'm gonna end it here for this episode. But if you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, please leave a comment on what you think so far. And if you want to buy this for yourself, I will leave the links in the description and the comments down below. Anyways, thank you. Take care.